Does anyone just get the urge to wake up early, try to exercise, go on a run or something? Just to, be active, try to start a healthy habit, and then immediately regret it? It started raining in the middle of my run, in the middle of like 2 miles. I'm instantly regretting it.
Welcome back. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Andy. I am an incoming M1 student at the Medical College of Georgia, and I'm here to talk about the MCAT today. Yay! Isn't that great? The MCAT, of course, is something that anyone who wants to go into medical school will have to face eventually. So, of course, you want to prepare for it the best you can to best represent yourself on an admissions desk. So when I took my MCAT, I ended up getting a 98th percentile score, which numerically you can do the math. I don't want to say it out loud, but just there's my resume. I'll slide that file on your desk. Hopefully I know what I'm doing, or at least I have a little bit of idea to kind of guide you and hopefully prepare you to get your 98th percentile score, or hopefully even higher. So today I got some tips, tricks, and ways to help you hopefully get your 98th percentile or higher score on the MCAT, and we're gonna break it down into 3 sections, and they'll all be timestamped below, so if you want to skip around, see something specific. The first section will be when to start. Next is the resource to use, or the resource that I would recommend to use, how I got my score. And then finally, how to use those resources and ways to study and prepare yourself physically, mentally for the exam in the weeks and even months prior to taking your test. So, let's get started. And yeah, today is a glasses day. I felt lazy, alright? So first off, when to start. So I want to begin by saying that first and foremost, pay attention in your classes. Most of your coursework, especially your prereqs in your first, second, and even third years of college, will be set up to be tailored to the subjects that you will most likely see on the MCAT. So studying for your classes is really studying for the MCAT as well. So I would recommend the earliest you start dedicated MCAT review, whether it be just light content or whatever, is around 6 to 8 months. If you're really feeling it, you can do it to a year before you're planning on taking the test. But I definitely wouldn't stress about it too much, especially if you are on track with your prereq classes for whatever bio or pre-med major that you're in, because that will set you on track to know everything by the time you get to the MCAT. And when I say content review, I mean just outside dedicated MCAT sources, and I think the best way to use those is to supplement what you were learning in class with those resources instead of just attacking them as a separate entity. With that being said, I know there are a few people that literally can grind out an entire MCAT regimen in 2 months or even 1 month. So it still depends on the person and how prepared you feel based on maybe some practice tests or something. But definitely start preparing for it like at least 6 months before, because it is a lengthy test and you will most likely be studying for it while you are still taking courses at university. All right, so up next, what resources to use? And there are so many out there. We live in a digital age where basically information and full-on textbooks are just straight up on the internet for you. You can get it free of charge, but there are some key resources that I would definitely recommend that I use and I think could definitely help you too. The first resource is the Kaplan set. You've seen it all over the place. You can get it on Amazon. I think it's like $130-ish. It's got books for every single section: cars, biochem, organic, physics, everything you need. But I think the best way to use that is kind of a starting block, and I'll get back to that in a sec. The next really cool resource that I didn't really realize until I started studying for the MCAT is Reddit. Yeah, Reddit, if you don't know, it's kind of a big sort of forum website, and they have different groups that are practically just humongous Facebook groups called subreddits. So there are subreddits of MCAT and pre-med, and those are the two most useful subreddits I think I found during my MCAT review, because it's just literally hundreds of thousands of very confused students coming together to help each other. And it's really great because you'll get people that literally got 528s on the MCAT helping each other out. And so if you're confused on a topic or a question, I know while I was studying, I went on there and I had a question about a specific answer during one of the practice tests. I put that question out there and just a random person responded within 6 hours, and I understood the topic better. So use the power of the internet and community to help each other out, even if they're strangers. So a great resource out there that I recommend, I know that there's the Princeton Review full-length tests, and I know Kaplan has some full-length tests, but the ones that I found are the most accurate to a degree to the real thing is the Next Step Test Prep full-length MCATs. And so I believe you can buy packs of 3, 6, or even 10. And I would say buy them. They are really useful. And those full-length practice tests will come in handy when you're trying to see where you're at or what topics you need to hit. And they get you used to timing and trying to read and analyze long, dense scientific passages in a quick manner. Next, buy everything the AAMC offers. Kind of like SAT and the College Board, whatever the College Board material is, their official material that they put out is what's most representative of what's going to be on the actual test. It's the exact same thing for the MCAT. So anything that the official test makers put out, all their full-length practice tests, their question banks, their question packs, their flashcards, get it all. And I know it's going to be a little bit pricey, but I'm telling you that is the most representative of what is going to be on the actual test. So use it and use it wisely. So another great resource is a flashcard app called Anki. Anki? I don't know. Other people have different pronunciations for it, but basically it is a cloud-based flashcard app. So there are full-on decks already pre-made from people that have gone before you that you can download straight from the internet onto your phone, your computer, whatever mobile device you have. They are tailored for all the different sections of the MCAT, and it's based off of a spaced repetition algorithm. So not like Quizlet where it's just rote memorization where you're seeing it over and over and over again. How this flashcard app works is it takes what you know really well and kind of buries that in the deck so you don't see it very often, but the topics that you need to know or are kind of shaky on, it'll make appear more often in the deck. So you hit those topics of interest really quick and very often. So definitely use Anki. I highly recommend it, and you'll see why it's so important in the next section. Then there is the almighty Khan Academy. So the interesting thing about Khan Academy is it is the only third-party source that is directly affiliated with the AAMC. So whatever big topics and explanations they have on their website is actually directly sponsored by the AAMC. So it's representative of explanations and reasoning that you will see on the MCAT. So highly recommend it in supplementing your classes, or if you're kind of shaky on a specific subject, definitely go to Khan Academy first. Another great resource is a website called Jack Weston. So what they do is they have daily CARS passages. So that is your critical reading and analysis section, and you can time it. The website is set up exactly the format of how the MCAT will actually look on their computers. So it's really useful. They give you direct feedback on your answers, whether you got it right or wrong, and it gives you a reasoning for it. It's really, really good just to wake up in the morning and knock out a practice passage and see kind of how you're progressing in that section. And then finally, a really underrated resource is just general scientific literature. All the passages in the MCAT are taken straight from actual publications. So of course you realize that scientific literature isn't written like normal prose. It's not like reading a newspaper article or an Instagram caption. So what I would recommend is subscribe to major journals, maybe Nature or something like that, and just read their daily article. Just familiarize yourself with the way scientific literature is set up, including the figures, the structure of how they explain things, and I'm telling you, it will make a world of difference when you get to the exam, because the language wouldn't be so foreign to you at that point. And now for the good stuff, the tips and tricks on how to use your resources to best prepare yourself for the MCAT. I think the first thing is timing. So I don't think any of you guys have taken a 7-hour test before. With that being said, it takes some getting used to. My first recommendation is when you're studying for your classes, or just studying or working in general, time your sections to be 90 minutes. Every section of the MCAT is 90 minutes, so you're gonna have to stay concentrated for that long amount of time, which again, the brain isn't exactly used to. So what you can do to prepare yourself for that is get an app. Like I use the app Forest. It kind of gives you a little incentive by growing a tree when you're done studying, or people can use just regular timers. Whatever you want, set that time for 90 minutes, put everything away and just work and study. Learn to concentrate for that amount of time, and so when you get to the exam, 90 minutes straight of concentration is a breeze for you because you're used to it already. Next, I know a lot of people say this, but it is true. Get used to waking up early for the test, at least 2 weeks in advance from your test date. The test starts at 8 a.m. You want to be able to wake up and get into that routine, being ready to go at 8 a.m. And for you unfortunate souls that have 8 a.m. lectures, you're one step ahead of the game. I'm going to underline this because it is very, very important. Consistency is key. Incorporating MCAT studying, just even if it's a little bit, into your daily life is going to make a world of a difference, and it's going to make studying feel like a lot less of a chore. Now, getting daily practice, that's where Anki and Jack Weston comes in. Anki, those cards reset every single day, so you have a number of reviews to do, and because they're on all your devices, you don't have an excuse not to do them. You could be sitting on a train ride or your shuttle going to class, take out your phone instead of scrolling through Instagram, run through Anki cards. You could be waiting in line at the grocery store, take out your phone, do some cards, do some reviews, so that you stay in that mindset of continually learning and continually reviewing. And then, of course, Jack Weston, what I did was every morning I woke up and did a passage. And it just sets you in a good mindset for the day, saying that I am focused, I am ready to study, and it kind of gets the ball rolling. It starts that momentum, but just incorporating a little bit every single day goes a long way. And so a cool way to incorporate MCAT into your daily life is just while you're doing chores. Through the Next Step Test Prep, they have a podcast called the MCAT Podcast, where they literally go through some of their practice material and questions with you. So literally just while you're cooking, whatever you're doing, put in earbuds and listen to the podcast. It takes no effort, but you are kind of subliminally learning and you don't even realize it. Okay, next tip. Take all of your full-length practice tests in a simulated testing environment. That means 8 a.m. timed, you don't stop any way besides the scheduled breaks. You put everything else away, treat it exactly like the test, because your body needs to get used to it and your mind needs to know what it feels like to run the marathon of a 7-hour test. Now, a cool little trick that a lot of people may know, but I'm still going to recommend it, is that the Next Step Test Prep gives their first full-length MCAT practice exam, timed and everything, and it's scored for free. So my personal recommendation is about 5 to 6 months prior to when you have your scheduled test date, take that free test, because you need a baseline to know where you're weak in, where you're strong in, and what topics to really kind of strengthen up on. Next, a tip on going over your free lengths. Go over and review every single question, including your wrong answers and your right answers. The explanations for the questions on most of the practice tests are pretty comprehensive, but the problem is you're gonna get a lot of questions right, but you don't know why you got them right. It sounds kind of funny, but it's really true. You want to be able to figure out why you got things wrong, but also learn the reasoning behind why you're getting the things that you're getting right. If that makes any sense at all. It's super, super important, because you'll realize that, oh, maybe my line of thinking was wrong even though I got the question right, and that information is going to be very, very important down the line. And staying on reviewing tests, when you do, make an ongoing list of specific topics that you are weak on, that you found during the test, and go over them at a later date. Here I still have my old folder or files of when I took my free lengths and I was just jotting down the topics that I got wrong or terms that I've never heard of to go look up at a later time. And this is really, really useful because a lot of times those topics that I missed shows up again, and when they hit you with it the next time, you're going to be way stronger because you learn from your past mistake. Next, I think a psychological trick to help you while you're reading is that the MCAT is a mile wide but an inch deep. Now, let me explain. There are a vast number of topics you need to know, but you have to keep in mind that the MCAT is a reading comprehension test. It's not really testing on how deep can you recite a metabolic pathway. It's testing you on, can you recognize that that metabolic pathway is being used in this passage. All the answers will be in there for you. You just have to find it, either that or realize that it's there, which is the tricky part. So keep in mind, MCAT is a reading comprehension test. That doesn't mean you should ignore content review, but that should turn your focus on, instead of rote memorization of specific terms, it's how can I practically figure out this term if it were presented to me in a clinical or research scenario. My last two tips are about the official AAMC testing material. So what you want to do is save that material for about 1 to 2 months before you're ready to take your exam, because once you use them, obviously you can't really go through it again. It won't be the same because you've already seen the question. So those resources are very, very important. So save your 4, I think it's 4 now, I only had 3, all your free links, because that score will be closest to what you will probably get on the actual MCAT. And then all the question banks and everything, those need to be saved for the last 2 months. So conserve them, don't burn through them like 5 or 6 months before you take the exam, because you need those to know exactly where you are accurately to tell you if you're ready to take it or not. And then finally, this is kind of a downfall of a lot of people: do not get used to any third-party cars. Even Jack Weston is still the most accurate, in my opinion, to what the AMC is, even though they can be a little funky sometimes. But next step, their physics section is great, their biochem section is great, their... what's the last section? Wow, am I really forgetting it? Oh, their psychology, sociology section is great. All of those are really accurate. Cars, they make you overthink it. It's really odd. A lot of previous test takers can probably vouch for me, but you have to think very, very simplistic when going through the actual AMC car section, because they don't want you to use any sort of outside information. As soon as you do, you're gonna get the question wrong. If it is not in the passage, it is not an answer. And it takes some getting used to. A lot of third-party cars practice will make you make those kind of assumptions, but when you transfer that over to AMC cars, it really, really messes with your scoring and your answers. And it was kind of frustrating for me at first, so I want to let you guys know that when you get to your AMC practice material, aka your question banks and question packs, and then finally when you get to your free links, get used to that cars and study those the most. See why you got those right, see why you got those wrong, because that's what will show up on the MCAT, and that's how you should think. And I guess one more bonus tip, just take a deep breath on test day and let your months and months of preparation kick in. If you follow all these tips and suggestions, as well as learn how you study and what works best for you along the way, you're gonna be ready. So don't psych yourself out, don't be scared. All that daily practice from Anki, Jack Weston, all that studying in your classes, it's gonna come together. You just have to make sure that your mind is clear and that you realize that this is just a test and you can conquer it. It's not anything crazy, it's not anything godly. You got this. Good luck to you. If you're taking it, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Hope to see a 99th or 100th percentile out there. Peace.